right, so this is a little different for us. We don't normally do a virtual podcast, but I got a chance to sit down with Dave Owen, Pinhoti Project, and this is just how we had to do it. So, and I don't know that you need any introduction, but I'm not gonna pass up the opportunity to say two-time Grand National Turkey Calling Champion Dave Owen.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you for getting on with me.
No, I sure appreciate it, man. It's got a nice ring to it. I like it.
We were there this year, and that's the first time that I've sat in Nashville and watched some of the competition. And if you hadn't done that, if somebody's listening, you hadn't done that, that's worthwhile. That's worth the trip to Nashville. You duck out of the crowd and get in there, and just it's quiet. You take a break from the crowd and all the walking, and it's really neat. And I've never called competitively, but calling is one of the things that I've always loved about turkey hunting, and it's really cool to sit in there and listen to calling on that level.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely you really don't know what's possible until you get in there and get surrounded by those guys. But yeah, I mean, if you ever make it to the NWTF show, especially the big one, that's quite a venue to enjoy turkey calling. The sound quality in there is awesome. Got comfy seats, so come get off your feet if you're trolling around the convention this next year, and you'll probably be impressed by some of the things you hear that you didn't even know was capable. So
yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I would hate to have to judge because everybody up there on the stage is good, and you can listen, you can tell like somebody has a really good run, you can tell, but all those guys are good.
yeah, once you get to that final 12 there on that final stage, it's literally the best of the best, and it's been a humbling experience to be called one of those guys and to get to call amongst them and to get to share the stage with them, and it's been pretty fun to snag a few of the big trophies at the end of it. But that's one of the things turkey calling is. I think you're fixing to see. I'd say over the last maybe 6 or 8 years, you've seen a push in its popularity. I know at the local contest, I've seen a lot more new callers and a lot of people taking the leap and just jumping in there because that's what you have to do. And I hope that I've been some type of influence as far as that's concerned because I've been always extremely motivating people to get in there and just give it a run because you're going to find new friends and the people. One of the questions I get a lot is how do you get into competitive calling? I said just go to a contest, just jump in there because the people that'll help you the most are those guys that you're calling against because it's one of the only ways, it's one of the only places where you're competing against somebody, but I'm rooting for them just as hard as I'm rooting for myself. So I really want everybody to have their best run. Every time you call against them, and it's one of the only places you can find that. Typically, if you're playing ball, you want somebody to strike out, you want to beat them. But in calling, at least for myself, I want everybody to have their best run. And so, if there's anybody out there that's ever considered competitive calling, just get out there and throw your hat in the ring. And especially there at the beginning, buddy, you're going to make some big strides. I know it was for me. I walked into it thinking that I was a good caller, and I was probably better than average. But that was from years of practice because I was kind of late to the game. But the strides I was able to make really quickly due to the direction of those competitive callers around me. Those first few years, there was a lot of changes for the better. So
yeah, I would think in that you don't know what you don't know. You go in there as an accomplished, like I can call turkeys. I've been killing turkeys for years. Then you go in there and you learn some of the nuance and just
because absolutely, it's a game.
the
Like
little
competitive
things.
turkey calling, if you just go in there and all you've ever listened to is wild turkeys, as much as some of people will hate when I say this, you will only have so much success. You have to see how the routines are structured. You need to see just how a contest is run, how you need to prepare yourself. All of that's necessary. So obviously, it's necessary to listen to turkeys and mimic turkeys and know how to sound as close to realistic as possible. But you also have to know the framework of the competitions and how to put together a routine so it's easy to digest for the judges and it's pleasing to the ear. All that's kind of stuff that you just don't know until you go, like you said. And I think, and I know just had a phone call earlier today. There's some of us callers and many callers that are striving to make turkey calling. It's always got that nostalgia at the Grand National level. There's a nostalgia that surrounds that competition. frankly, people aren't there for the most part for a paycheck. It comes with a little payout, but they're not there for that. They're there because of that nostalgia and the notoriety and just just that contest. It's just the air's different in Nashville when you're on the Grand National stage, and that's why people are there. And it's important still to the callers, and it's still a big deal to a lot of folks that closely follow turkey hunting. But I think its popularity with people that kind of maybe just a little bit on the outside of the circle, they don't even know about it anymore. So we're trying to make a push to make that stuff a little bit more popular to the larger hunting audience. So it's not just the hardcore of the hardcore turkey hunters that know about competitive calling. So
you've done well with that. I think you mentioned. Yeah, well, you've done well with that. I think you mentioned earlier. You've definitely been an influence in that. I think the popularity of it, but also you can see the Dave Owen Pinhoti influence in the calling.
yeah. I mean,
The
that's
little subtle whines and the things that you were doing. I mean, look, I can remember watching the first season of Pinhoti. You and children walking around, like walking and whining, that little drip.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I take a lot of people turkey hunting. I take, high school kids from church, just stuff like that. I spend a lot of time and be a high school senior, you want to call? And they go in that little drip and whine, and so you definitely had an influence.
Yeah, I mean, I take it as a compliment because
Yeah, you should. It's meant that way.
it's for people to pay attention and appreciate years and years of trying to hone a craft, so to speak. And I hope I hope it's been positive for them. And like I said, at these local contests, I've seen a handful of folks like, man, you're the one that put me here, and well, what do I need to do next? And I'm like, man, you're taking the first, the most important, and the biggest step right now, just being here. And I honestly, I don't know of a single one of them that I haven't seen again because they've always came back. Like if you're a turkey hunter and you even have any type of interest in calling and you come to a contest, like you're gonna like it. You're gonna like the people that you're around. It's like-minded folks.
Yeah, that's right. The world feels, and the hunting crowd feels like a real big group. It's not really.
No.
There's some pretty small circles, especially
Very
inside
small.
turkey hunting. I find myself saying that a lot, but there's a lot of overlap, and that's even more so, I think, in the calling circuits. I know
For sure.
you look at the icons of hunting, particular turkey hunting, Will Primos, Cus Strickland, the so many of these guys, Taki Hayes. I've got friends that were calling back in the 80s, and she's got pictures of all the biggest names in hunting. The Drury brothers, both of them, they all were at these callings. Yep. Collins would put them on the map.
Yeah, they were all around the calling. You got Waddell even. I mean, he got his. I mean, he was found at the calling circuits and the Roms. Terry Rom. Grand National winner. I mean, you've got Kirby's. I mean, you've got these names that you're like, oh, I know them from Mossy Oak. I know them from H.S. Strutt. Some of the Will Freeman. Like all of these names were kind of around, even if they weren't Grand National winners, they were around the calling circuit. Like did that. It's kind of remarkable how many people that got their foot in the door in the outdoor industry through turkey calling.
Yeah, and that was I guess the biggest outlet. There weren't near as many outlets. Not everybody had a microphone.
Yep.
So that goes to how important it was. But it's funny over the years. I mentioned that you're influenced in it now. If you go back or even just watch some of the old Primos Truth About Turkey Hunt videos, calling has changed a lot over the years.
Oh yeah.
The wild turkey really hadn't changed that much. Turkey vocalizations hasn't, but I guess maybe some of it's the technology and the calls. You can do things with that call, maybe subtle things. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just we adapt and we get better at things over time.
Yeah, I think because the materials. Possibly I don't know. I haven't been around long enough to know, but maybe latex quality's better. I don't know. Some of the old latex that everybody talks about was supposedly the creme de la creme. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
I remember running an old Primos True Double. Like if you throw an old call in your mouth, it feels like you got a brick in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I remember buying those calls.
I don't think the calls were near as versatile.
But no, they I don't know. But in my opinion, maybe I'm biased, but the calling has never been better. as far as,
I agree with that.
we still got a long way to go. Don't think that, we don't have it
I don't
down.
know.
We have a long way to go. Like you think you're doing good, and then you stack it and you overlay it with a real thing, and you're like, man, we have a long way to go. But I think it's as good as it's ever been. You got some folks out there that are coming awful close, it seems like, but yeah, it's definitely changed from the '80s and '90s, like the style of calling to now.
So what's left for you? Look, you two-time Grand National. Did you win in Louisiana?
No, I got my butt whooped in Louisiana, which is another thing. Like people, everybody's beatable in this thing, man. You can have your good
Yeah.
days, and you can have your bad days. But no, I went down to Louisiana, got whooped. We came to the Masters up here in Georgia last week or week before last, and did well. We won that one. But yeah, it's just like every dog has his day,
Hunter Lamont, and he's a pretty good caller too.
Yeah,
He
he calls
Louisiana.
competitively. Yep. And he helps. He puts that U.S. Open. That's the U.S. Open. That's a major that they got down there in Hammond, Louisiana. But they put on a heck of a show. I mean, a big deal.
They got no turkeys down there, but they got turkey
Yeah. them boys down there is hungry, son. Let me tell you something. If you've ever hunted down there amongst them, they're hungry.
Yeah, being a border state with Louisiana, Louisiana boys got a lot of bullets and big coolers.
Yeah, they do. They sure do. Relentless as anybody I've ever seen chase them.
And good people though.
Oh yeah.
I've got some lifelong friends I've been friends with for decades now that I met at the gate on
Oh
public
yeah.
land. And that's just
Oh yeah.
if you're looking to make friends, you're right. You probably agree with that. You make friends.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Uh, so speaking of making friends, there's one thing we talked about before. A lot of people that social media, that YouTube hunter, that celebrity hunter, there's a lot of flack that comes along with that. I had some guys that I've known for a long time. When we had you on in January, you were in town. We did some trapping,
Mm-hmm.
did a podcast, just bunch of turkey hunters hanging out.
Yeah.
And just got some grief from some guys about those YouTube hunters. They're ruining it. They've ruined public land. All this, all the downside, all the negative. I'm sure you hear it all the time. But recently, I don't think y'all got credit because and it is what it is. It was Trump's big beautiful bill, and Mike Lee introduced part of it for we're going to force a very large sell-off of public land
Oh yeah.
very quick. And
Yeah, I mean, I think that
the mobilization of you
yeah,
guys.
I think it's just the man. If somebody didn't speak out against it, and it's not like it took a lot of effort. We folks like myself accidentally may have a following and may have an audience that pays attention. It's not like when I set out to do the Pinhoti project, it's never in a million years would I imagine what it has become, and people would even pay attention to, a hillbilly from Georgia. But I think that anybody that had any type of audience that didn't speak out against it, you really need to start putting them up under a microscope. But it's not like it took a lot of effort, but I think, folks like myself as a small fish, you got like Cam Haynes and you got Steven Ranella and you got Sam Soholt, like we mentioned earlier. You got guys with these much bigger followings. But anyways, it's just the audience that they have is outdoorsmen. And a lot of, like myself included, we use those guys as like a news outlet now. I don't follow the news. I can't tell you when the last time I turned on the TV to watch the news. If something's happening, these guys with their thumbs on the pulse, a lot of these organizations like Sportsman's Alliance, HOW, all those guys that got involved and put together initiatives to make sure that every single sportsman's out there, sportsmen or sportwomen, had a voice and was easily made the road to get to these representatives extremely easy.
Well, they leveraged you leverage that following.
Yes.
That following and that influence is low-hanging fruit for guys who want to hate on them.
Yeah.
If they have a negative experience somewhere hunting, they want to blame it on everybody else.
And
You can't do that, but then not acknowledge the
positivity.
influence of being able to take that collective voice
Yep.
and influence the political process.
Yeah, and
It's as
people,
simple as that.
it's as simple as that. I mean, if people have an audience and use it for the good, I mean, there's going to be a negative aspect to just about anything in life. I mean, if there's anything out there, you can probably spin and pull out some type of negative aspect. And people are always taken aback when they hear me say, if there was a switch to turn off social media, I'd be the first one to flip it. And they're like, what do you mean? That's how that's how Pinhoti project came about. That's where it gets his motivations. That's how you have any type of following. But my motives are a little bit different as to the reasons I say that. It's got a lot to do with it.
Back to med school,
Well, I mean, I would find a way. It's not a big issue for me as far as finding a way. I'm going to turkey hunt 90 days of spring. I don't care what I got to do. But what the biggest thing, and me saying something.
Without that camera too.
Well, the biggest thing, I think it would hurt the anti-hunting population more than it would hurt the hunting population. I think we would be fine because we are a grassroots type of community, and the anti-hunting community is not. So I think pulling the plug on social media would crush their community far more than it would crush ours. So that would be my sole reason for, because I think sportsmen, I still think we're our own worst enemy, because there's a majority of the majority of the negative stuff that comes from the hunting community is from people with the wrong motives, and you just flat out can't flesh them all out and get rid of them.
They get the most publicity.
Yes, and because I mean, it's not hard to see what buttons to push to get the clickbait. I could release a video tonight that would go through the stars, if I wanted to do 50 headshots in 30 seconds or something, but that's just not beneficial for my way of life or the hunting community. So I'm thankful that the majority of the folks in my shoes have that same mentality, but there are that small group that doesn't, and I think they do a lot of bad.
I'd hesitate to call it a movement, but it feels like that temperance, and maybe that's getting cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe there's more. Maybe there's beginning to be more of us.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I
know
know
process, the experience is more important than killing them at any cost.
Exactly.
Getting, tagging out.
Yeah.
Whatever you call
for
it.
sure. And I think I'm hoping that if there's anything been taken away from my message, I'm hoping that's what it is. I've preached slow down from the get-go. I've preached appreciate the moment, appreciate every single one of them. Don't think about the next one till you know what I mean, like that getting more out of each experience, and make sure you have quality experiences. We all go through that kill phase. That's part of maturing as a turkey hunter. But I've said this before as well. I hate to be redundant, but I just feel like it carries weight. I feel like the responsibility of those of us who have went through that kill phase is to get the ones that are currently in or going through the kill phase, get them on this side of it. Like, hey, buddy.
Some of that's just time.
And some of that's just time. Yeah. But it's. I think it helps when you got somebody that's on the other side going, hey, buddy, you're a killer. Everybody notices it.
See that. That's right.
Everybody notices it. Everybody knows you can get it done. So it's not necessary. Yeah, it's not necessary. Let's put some, willingly put some constraints in place, or start looking at the quality of the experience. If you walk around the corner and gobbler just happens to be in the road and starts running from you, you ain't got to shoot him in the back of the head. That's just not shouldn't crank your tractor. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and this may help somebody get there. So I'm a little older than you. I'm probably a little older than a lot of the guys in there. I'll be 48 this year. And so I kind of came out of that, and I've had several years now where I wasn't near as mad at them.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I kind of started getting concerned, like, well, wait a minute now. I used to, I was pretty rough on them.
Yeah.
And that scratch, that itch didn't get scratched until I'd completed what I came to do.
Yeah.
That comes back sometimes. I'll catch myself sometimes. My buddy Chris, who's usually on here with me, but I don't think he doesn't have a computer, so I couldn't get him on here tonight. But he'll laugh at me. I'll call up turkeys and watch them walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next day, I may wade through a swamp. The situation may be different. I may do everything I can to kill that turkey, and I love that that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a switch that you have to turn off and it always stays on.
No, man. I
The
mean,
fire's
killing's a
still
part
there.
of
You know,
it.
you
Killing's a
stoke
part
it a
of
little
it.
bit.
You let me go. You let me go 4 or 5 days without having at least a close call or something, and buddy, I'm world's at an end. I'm
Yeah,
ready
we
to
were.
put my hands on one. But no, yeah, I think that has become. I think the conservation voice has gotten louder and louder and louder, and I think we've had a lot of killers turn conservationists. Not that it's not the same thing or can't be the same thing, but I think you had a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not binary. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I know some conservationists. I consider myself one of them that are killers, but killers as far as can do it, not killers by they're going to kill just numbers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think that has. I think the overall mentality has kind of migrated a little bit more to that having some reservations and leaving seed, and then kind of that type of mentality has.
Yeah, and I don't want to just blow smoke, but I think it wouldn't be fair to probably not point out how big a role I'm going to say Daniel Hayes and then some of the guys at Moss Oak had in that.
Yeah, and I think
I mean,
any
they've gone from a company, from a corporate position, they've made that a priority. And I'm not taking a
absolutely,
shot at anybody else in the business. I'm just
yeah,
pointing out a very positive.
yeah.
They put conservation at the top of their brand.
Absolutely, and
I don't
specifically
think,
wild turkey, and
you know,
specifically, which is what their brand rides on. Yeah,
yeah, they're
absolutely.
legitimately,
Kudos to those type folks that are
yeah,
willing to take the strides that they've done, the stamp, and the many other things for conservation, the gamekeepers grants, and the podcast for educational purposes. And I think that's probably what's moved the needle more than anything is just folks didn't know. And so I think the education getting out there and then being able to have access through podcast to the researchers and the folks on the ground and that kind of thing, and just it's different when you hear it from somebody who do it for a living versus from the neighbor. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I do some social media and some video work for some buddies that do habitat management, and they're tied in now with Marcus and Will some through Wildlife Investments, and they did a turkey academy in Columbiana, Alabama, back in March,
hmm
and I went and videoed, and I've been editing that just as I can. So I've gotten several times just sitting here editing. You know how you kind of get in the zone.
oh
I'm
yeah,
sure you spend a lot of hours editing,
oh yeah,
but just the content. And those guys really, they've got a podcast. They do great. But to see them, this is a classroom type setting, and they're teachers by trade, and that's where they really
that's
excel.
where they do their
And I
thing.
just several times I've thought, man, if this information was this readily available 20 years ago, how different would things be? We're looking at turkey numbers and all these things. Like there wasn't an avenue for it. It wasn't
Yeah,
out there.
and
So
that's
yeah,
one of the other aspects you just talked about, the positives of social media and the age that we live in. This is one of those positives. Like that, you could not get this volume of information to people through magazine articles. You just couldn't. Which is how I learned.
they could consume it. Yeah,
This is where I got my information was magazine articles. Like,
and
um,
hunting forums
yeah, hunting. Well, I mean, that was magazine articles
before that.
before that. I mean, I remember dial-up service and getting on there and going to huntingforums.net and whatever it was. And
Yeah, there was Jesse's hunting page way back. The
yeah,
GON
the GON
forum, been
forum was a
there.
big
That's
one.
one of the first ones, and MDWF&P had one back in the day.
Yeah, many of us learned to turkey hunt off those things, like myself included. Like I didn't have anybody to, and that was one of those. That was a teaching environment for me. Like I remember soaking into those stuff and digging into threads and just that was such a valuable resource back then. That has unfortunately gone extinct almost, but it's been replaced by different platforms now. But yeah, I mean the ability to get that volume of information out there, I think, has really moved the needle. So
Yeah, there wasn't my dad didn't turkey hunt. My grandfather did, but he never tried to share turkey hunting with us. And that may be part of why I love it. I don't know. I might not would love it as much if I'd been just have been forced on me young, but
Oh yeah.
there's what's the R3 thing now in hunting,
Mm-hmm.
that recruit, retain, and reactivate.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of push in hunting, and I don't know how I feel about all that. There's a lot of hunters. I don't know that we necessarily need more.
Yeah, I just think I I won't say that we don't need more, and I don't know if we've necessarily have more hunters. I just think we have more hunters that are more active now. I think the hunters that used to hunt a little are hunting a lot. Same with fishing, but I think a lot of this stuff was inevitable. I mean, our population's growing every day, right? And so you're just inevitably going to have more people. I mean, you've got more people kayaking, you've got more people mountain bike riding, and if you look at recreational passes across the board, recreation is going up because the population is going up, and every time you get online, there's something about you got everything. And now there's every time you get online, it's something about a GMO or a new dye that they found, and so everybody's just kind of getting this push to get outside. And I think the number of hunters stuff was a little bit inevitable. I'm not
That's
denying.
a good point. Just
I'm
by
not,
the numbers.
yeah, just by the numbers game, and I'm not denying that social media and the presence of being able to put it out there in front of people helped with the numbers, but I fail to see the negatives because I think the people were coming and the people are coming. I think when you have folks that hit the woods with a little bit of education about what they're doing is a lot better than folks hitting the woods with no education about
That's
what
what I
they're
was
doing.
about to say. At least all those new people coming to have a clue.
At
These
least an
guys
idea.
get better at it way quicker than we did.
Yes, they did, and that's the first one. A lot of the critics, I had this guy come bump my bird and wander down through here, and it's because of social media. Probably not, because if that guy was dialed into some of these pages and whatnot, and at least paid attention, he'd have known better than that. So you don't want people to bump your turkeys. You want people to, I guess, you want everybody to be a seasoned hunter, like you're supposed to get that overnight. But at the same time,
It's always the other guy.
yeah, it's always
The other
the other
guy's
guy.
always, it's always
Yeah, yeah.
inevitable. We're all that other guy at some
Yeah,
point.
and I've been back to my truck and got to pondering and go, you know what? I was him today. I was that guy today. When you try to sneak in and bump a bird off the roost, and there was, it's always something. But yeah, man, there's negatives and positives to everything, and that's social media is no exception.
Yep. So what about pretty big deer hunter too, aren't
Man, I try not to be, but
you? I've seen some of the bow hunt
but
videos.
I do.
I'll say this: that same intensity you seem to take over into deer
I
hunting.
get
You bow hunt some mature deer on public ground.
Yeah, I kind of go about everything my own way, and that's my crippling speed bump, I guess you can say. I've got invitations all across the globe to go and hunt different things, and I could probably put out a lot of content with bow and arrow in hand, but I'm just one of those people. If I don't
We
do all,
invite you
if
to
I
come
don't,
back and turkey hunt some fine land, and you
yeah,
were straight. You're like, you know what? With what I do, I mean, I think people probably need to hear this. To your credit, an invitation, opportunity to turkey hunt. I mean, it's close to a slam dunk, pretty intensely managed private land, and man, this is what I do.
yeah, I just
To find time to work that stuff in and
and
to get
and
off.
and if anybody listens to this, because
We got like 3 listeners.
literally I have been invited to hundreds of places to turkey hunt, and I have no doubt that every flipping one of
I
them was
can
probably
witness.
fantastic. But I have a crippling desire to want to do everything myself. I have a crippling desire to want to put myself on the right ridge top myself. Me and Mr. George Mayfield had this discussion because
No
he's
jokes.
another one of those
He's a
men that
local
won't.
guy.
Yep, and he wants to be fully responsible, which is his reservation about hunting with somebody. And like even me going and videoing him, I remember I went and videoed him. I don't even think I ever used any of this video. Um, because, and I remember that morning, he's like, well, when you go with somebody, you always have to question if you kill a turkey, whether you were really the reason you killed it or if it was somebody else's decision. And I had to promise to him, I said, Mr. George, if I go with you, I'm not going to call. I won't call, and this will be the first turkey hunt in my life that I ain't called, I don't think. Because if I'm turkey hunting with you, I'm calling. I mean, that's just what I do. That's what I love more than anything. You can shoot him, I don't care, but I'm going to call to him. But I promised him, I said, I won't call to him. And I did call that morning, but it was only after he gave me permission to call. Same, with these invitations, I enjoy the idea of hunting with other people, and I do it a certain amount. I mean, I've got good buddies. I got my small circle, but my circle's small for a reason. And it's not that I'm thankful for every invitation I've gotten. It's humbling to think that somebody, because I cherish turkeys so much, it's humbling to think that somebody wants to offer me one of their turkeys, because it would mean a whole heck of a lot for me to offer one of my turkeys to somebody.
Yeah.
So it's a humbling feeling, but at the same time, like, I can count on one hand how many of those invitations that I've taken people up on, because it's just, I'd rather go out here to the WMA or National Forest and just nose to the grindstone and be responsible for 100% of it.
I appreciate that.
That's why the deer content, like, I seek out places that are bow only, because I like to bow hunt. I don't like rifles cracking off around me. Just not a rifle deer hunter. I don't
After
dislike
the southern gun seasons come in, those archery only public places they empty out pretty good.
Yeah, and I
A
mean,
lot of you got yourself.
and I don't like bait. I don't hunt deer over bait. I just don't like it. I like being able to hunt animals on their own terms. I like getting in the woods, reading the woods, whether it be acorns or food sources or water sources or rut funnels or whatever it may be that would be the recipe for that time of year or whatever. I love that. That's what gets me.
You got to get off the beaten path to find that now. I hunt a lot of small tracks, and where we live, we've got a lot of river bottom and Tom Beaver River, but those rut funnels and those oaks, it's hard to find a place where they're not influenced by a feeder somewhere, even if you're
That's
not
why,
feeding.
yep,
And those
absolutely.
spots don't produce like they did.
Yeah, I mean, because the bait on the landscape, as prevalent as it is now, has changed. It's one of if you ask me, it's changed everything. Because when they legalized it for deer, when they legalized it for deer, it 100% became more available during turkey season too. Oh, I'm just feeding my deer year round now. In the cell camera. So I try to seek out pieces of ground that I can get away from the bait. I can get into deer that aren't influenced by bait or, even food plots and stuff. Like I like trying to find places where I can find animals being animals, whether it be a turkey or a deer. And because I've had this conversation many, many times with folks too, I can go to your private piece of ground and I can listen to it for probably about 30 minutes after daylight and tell you whether they feed on this place or not. Turkeys just don't act right at first feed in the equation. They just act funny.
The birds are that way. I mean, even yard chickens. I mean,
anything.
I hate to compare a turkey to that, but the way they get with food.
Yep.
If they, if Eastern pitches down and covers a lot of ground pretty quick, it's probably going to bait.
And if you've been around turkeys
That's one
long
of the
enough,
quickest ways I can tell you, if they hit the ground, they cover a lot of ground pretty quick. And Eastern river bottom turkey.
Yep.
That's probably the reason.
Yep, absolutely. You can just always tell by they don't take the right paths. Like how birds move through their timber. Like whether it be a river bottom or a ridge system, like I'm so used to. Like when a turkey moves across a ridge system in a funny way, and like you said, quicker than normal, quicker than he should, sends up red flags to me pretty quick. So, I guess to circle back around to your original question, we deer hunt a little bit. So I know I'm hard headed. I watch some of those other guys they're big deer hunters and they'll crack out the rifle and lay one down and video it, and it gets a lot of engagement and stuff. And that's why I laugh at the you killing for content. I was like, man, if I was killing for content, I'd kill a lot more stuff. Like, as a matter of fact, this camera cost me more than, if I was hunting without this camera, it would probably be a few more a little bit more meat in the freezer. But yeah,
And the other side of that, so I'm working with, and I'm close with a lot of people who are managing big tracts of land. And, they got to break out a rifle because they're managing a herd. It's To me, that's a real big difference
mm-hmm.
inside of hunting right now. Is sort of the land manager and the hunter.
Hunter, yeah. And then there's
And in the setting, when we started this podcast, the Woodsman Perspective, we started out with me, Chris, and Mitt. Chris and Mitt both manage a lot of big land. Mitt's an agronomist. Chris is a forester. I'm just a hunter.
yeah.
Yeah, so we got those. We had those perspectives, and to me, that's one of the biggest differences when you get hunters together. To me, that's usually how it divides. It inevitably there is a split like public-private inside that, but it's really more comes down to more of like a game and land manager and a hunter.
Yeah.
And the hunters call themselves hunters, and the land manager thing, they kind of look at it, we're producing, y'all are taking. Humans are what they are. We find a way to divide ourselves, but we probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, possibly so. And there's different strokes for different folks. I mean, I think that's the cliche saying, but yeah, I mean, it's what you have available is a lot of time will tailor how you go about your business. You know what I mean?
Your station in life.
I've only had public land consistently available from me since childhood. So that's what I've adapted my strategies around is hunting public land, and that's the challenge that I desire. I know that I'm going out there. Chances of me seeing a 170, 180, 160 even pretty slim, but I'm okay with that. I like if I can keep shooting a Pope and Young deer every year, I'm gonna walk out of there with a smile on my face.
I've had that same
sort
of standard. Yep.
Some people do kind of what I do, but they'll shoot a 4-pointer, and that's fine if that's what you want to shoot. But the standards that I put in place for me is I kind of like to shoot maybe not a huge deer, but I like to shoot what I would think would be a pretty good, a quality deer, and try not to shoot dinks and little ones or whatever. But that's just me. And I like to do it without feed. I like to do it,
It's hard to kill a 4.5-year-old deer without feed on ground that anybody else can go hunt. That's not easy.
No, it's not easy to do, and that's the challenge. And I like doing it even so because I've obviously hunted a few places, even deer now. I've hunted a handful of states and have places that I've kind of not figured out, but I've got an idea now. It's hard not to just fall back into those places. But every year, the biggest desire I have is to go somewhere new, like uncover something new. And that's like this past deer, the deer that the content that I'm doing right now, I struck out to Indiana. I'd never been to Indiana other than turkey hunting, but I didn't deer hunt where I turkey hunted. Now we went back turkey hunted where I deer hunted this past year. I saw some things that I needed to be tended to.
Yeah. Something being neglected.
Yeah, but it's just the challenge of wanting to see something new. It's just a chess match. It's trying to figure something out. That may not be for everybody. They may want to go to their favorite stand and they're on their favorite ridge and hunt their favorite spot, and that's what they call hunting, and that's completely fine. But for me, it's just it's that desire to figure something, a whole new place out new.
Once a hunter figures out what it is that they're in it for and what they want to go get, that they turn the corner then, and it really doesn't matter. It's like the example I said earlier. I may call up a turkey and watch him walk off. Mm-hmm. I got what I needed out of it. The next day or whatever, different situation. I may knock you out of the way so I can shoot.
Yeah, and I've had several of those situations. I mean, I'm there to fool them, and I've got to feel a sense of accomplishment from doing that. Like if I feel like I was responsible and he did what I needed him to do, he's very rarely, I have to go and tell you with certainty, he's not going to walk off, because I'm going out there with a goal. And if I, do my part and get him to do his part, then he's probably going to take the truck ride home. But
in fairness, full disclosure, he was walking down the wrong side of the fence.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 20 yards, but there was a fence, but that's still a lot of self-control. Right? There was another factor in there.
There was a small factor there. Yeah, I get it.
And no one would have ever known.
Nobody but you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get it, but
it was fun. It was fun to watch that play out and walk off.
that it was like this year. My last stop in spring was in Michigan again, a place that I'm familiar, and went in there, and the first evening I found some birds. I'd actually drove through Michigan on my way to PA. I had a few too many days, and so I drove all the way through, um, coming from Wisconsin and Minnesota, and drove all the way through, and had to kind of swing through. Found some birds in the places that they should have been, and I just drove on out through that the rest of that day and went to PA and hunted a few. And then I met squirrel back in Michigan. First morning, I didn't roost the birds, but I saw them in a field way too late for their own good. Got in there, they were gobbling. Um, Turkeys came out with 3 hens, not strutting, just feeding. Um, and, you know, they gobbled on the roost. They probably came our way because of the calling, maybe, but I just wasn't 100% convinced that's why they were there. And it was the last turkey of the year. And squirrel sitting there on the camera because I was shooting first, and he's like, "You gonna kill one of them?" I was like, "I don't think I am. Like I don't. They just hadn't done what I need them to do." Um, and we watched them walk off. And he was cussing the whole time, but me, I was like, "Man, that's the last turkey of the year. You can shoot tomorrow, and if it cranks your tractor, then you can do it." But that one, just didn't.
There's something that checkmate to me. I mean, like I said, it's not something I do a lot, but there is something about watching one of them. I mean, just having it and not taking a shot. I mean, that's,
I mean, I've got to feel like I did my part. You know what I mean? I feel there's been a few times now that I've not shot a turkey because I didn't want to kill him just because he was unlucky. Because that's frankly what put him there was unlucky, or my luck, whatever it may be. But I didn't
look,
want I
there's
didn't
some
want him to
years
die.
where
You
that
know?
be a godsend. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I
There's
think it's
some
kind of
years,
hilly in the
yeah,
10th
like,
region that on a bad year you can't get any of that.
but I mean, like that happened on opening day of Alabama. One walk up in front of me like that, and me just think, yeah, I'd have probably blown him away. But it was just different in June. I've been
Yeah,
at it for a full 3 months. I've had my opportunities. I'm a very blessed man. Um, I get to literally live my dream. So if I left with that tag not punched, so be it. And them turkeys, and it was a flock of turkeys. There was no shortage of turkeys. Um, they beat our face in for the next 4 days, I think. And I
that's how it
eventually,
goes.
I eventually killed one of them. But yeah, they beat our face in for the next 4 days. After that, acting like turkeys. They act like turkeys the minute they got out of shotgun range. They started strutting and gobbling and acting like turkeys. And then I was kind of kicking myself a little bit. But at the moment of truth, they hadn't given me what I needed, so we watched them walk off.
Well, that's turkey hunting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that same mentality, I think, is what I think we started this whole conversation with what's changed, and I think you're seeing a bit more of that throughout the turkey hunting community. Not that we're getting soft; it's just that we care. I'm not there. Man, I've got enough turkey fans and feet and spurs and beards, and I've got. I mean, they unfortunately just collect dust. You know what I mean? So, um,
Yeah, I think we're measuring success with a different metric a lot now,
I think you're
and I
right.
think that's a good sign.
And I think that's one thing that has come about the last 6, 8, 10 years is that metric is what we're measuring has changed a little bit. You know what I mean? And running around and I know in my part of the world, the outlaws, the guys that would run around and brag about killing X amount of turkeys and this and that, they just aren't as cool as they once were.
I'm
Um,
glad you said that because I didn't have it on my radar tonight, but that's something I've said and a lot of times in defense when people, and I'm not just going to run to defend the social media guys, as a whole.
mhm.
Some of them are sandwich heads, but
Yeah.
you can't blame like the local guys that kill 15
Mhm.
are doing way more damage than the guys that come in from out of town and kill a few and go back home.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
yeah.
you can't, like, that's
And
been going on, and like that's
some of the biggest critics that I have that I personally know, um, man, it's just ironic. Honestly, it's like every one of them I could just about paint the personality. Um, They don't know how to set a coon cuff trap. They never, they don't know anything besides killing them. And some of them are some of the best at killing them that I know. Best at killing them I know. But they think they give a little conservation organization $100 every third year or something. They're doing their part to conserve turkeys. And they killing too many in their home state or anywhere they might go. And killing them by any means necessary. And I think that's changed. I think not entirely, of course, but I think a large part of that, because once upon a time, I won't say that it was cool, but it was a lot more accepted. I think you've seen some.
Yeah, local heroes, man.
I was going to say there's some folks have podcasts out there, like, I won't say idolizing, but not condoning, but somewhat, I don't know, putting these guys that did some, just
look, I won't say his name.
Acts.
Yeah, I won't say this guy's name because I don't want to give me credit, but you got a character in Mississippi that's got a huge following, and his whole thing is poaching and hopping fences.
And I just don't, that's one thing, I just don't have room for that, man. I just don't have room. And I'm no saint. Now, here, I'm no saint.
Yeah,
we have all made mistakes, and I am not going to sit here and act like I'm putting myself on a pedestal because I'm as guilty as the next guy, because we're just ignorant sometimes. But that being said, like, man, you mature.
But to promote it, that's your whole thing.
Well, yeah, promoting it promoting is a whole different level of ignorance. But I don't have room for that, man. I just don't have room for that. I don't think turkey community has room for it either, frankly.
Well, I just don't want to live having to look over my shoulder.
It's not. That sucks the fun right out of it, man.
All right, so you said you're not going to be in Tuscaloosa this weekend, then?
Nope, not gonna. I'm going to miss that one for the first time in many, many years. It's been a busy off season. Me and the girls going to run up and do a little camping before next weekend is the Buckmasters Trade Show, the expo down there, their 30th annual down in Montgomery. We're gonna be at it and hopefully make a big splash down there. And then the next weekend is the velvet season in Tennessee that I may participate in this year. Well,
you need to do that this weekend because I saw y'all at Birmingham and she was working hard in the booth.
Let me tell you something.
You told me that was her birthday, right?
That was her birthday weekend.
Yeah, you probably owe her a trip.
Yeah, I owe her a trip for sure. But yeah, we're gonna run off for the weekend, and I promised her if she'd go all the way down to the U.S. Open down in Hammond, Louisiana, that big long trip, she's like, well, you got to pick one of these to not go to so that we can have a weekend. And I said, I guess if she asked for one weekend, that's not that much,
Did y'all get any fishing in when you were in
Louisiana? We did. We went down there and went red fishing after the contest and stuff. So.
Look, my buddies in Louisiana are very gracious. They come and hunt up here, and they're very gracious and generous with an invitation to go fish.
Oh yeah, they have an awesome resource down there, man. That's a cool place to hang out for a weekend, and like you said, fun-loving people, man. You can always get around some Cajuns, and you're gonna have a good time. If you don't, you need to look in the mirror because you're the problem.
Yep. Well said. Well, man, look, I won't keep you. I appreciate your time. Look forward to, I guess you have some ungulate.
Yep.
Content coming out soon ahead of deer season.
It's in the background now, and I'm considering, because I got this first episode wrapped up and finishing up. There's not many episodes because just the nature of the way I put together deer hunting is, it's hard for me to keep deer hunting interesting when you ain't killing nothing or seeing a whole lot, So just a couple episodes here, but I'm about to have them finished up, and so yeah, you'll have some fresh ungulate stuff to look at before deer season gets kicked off. I usually keep them till September, but I'm thinking about I'm about tired of looking at them. I'm gonna get them off my plate. So
there you go. I know you spend a lot of time editing and combing over that stuff and put a lot of time in it. A lot of people have no idea how much time it is sitting here behind a screen.
Oh man, the deer videos take. Well, there's a lot. There's maybe 8 of those a fall, to where there's maybe 55 or 60 springs. So But per video, like I would hate to put a number factor on how many hours I have in this first video for the ungulated edition this year, because literally it's a month of footage. I started, scouting in October 2nd in Indiana and killed a deer November 7th. So it's literally a month of footage in 2 episodes. So you got to think the guy that's putting this together has to look at every minute of footage that he took to figure out what he needs. So that's a lot of screen time. That is.
Audio and checking everything, making sure I look, because the guy, deer hunting's different because you're by yourself, but like the turkey hunting, the guys that I turkey hunt with, I've got to check that audio real close.
Real close.
You met them.
Absolutely. I can edit a hunt where I do a solo hunt in about half the time.
If you got somebody else,
especially if we get back into that Cajun blood that we were just mentioning, like you got to check that audio close because you like to make it somewhat family friendly, and so
yeah, you hung out with my party. You saw that white tiger you had. I got to watch that close.
Yeah.
Look, Dave, I appreciate it, man. Thanks
You
for
bet,
getting
man.
on with us. If there's anything we can do for you down this way, holler at us.
Same to you, buddy. We appreciate the opportunity.